Hi guys, it's Picker10 and welcome to the 13th Roblox Lua scripting tutorial. Now in this tutorial, before I actually get started on the scripting, I'm starting a new section in these tutorials called the scripting showcase, which is basically where people send me models that they have made. They couldn't script before these tutorials, they've learnt from these tutorials, and now they can make these models. So I'm now in the showcase place. This is now on my places. You can have a look. All of these models that will be featured in these places are published in the scripting showcase place on my and in the scripting showcase place, and the link is in the description. And now the first model we have for this tutorial, the only model we have for this tutorial, because I didn't actually tell anyone I was doing it, this guy around me sent it to me, is an ancient floating ball with smoke coming out of it. It might not look like there's smoke coming out of it because white background, white everything. I'm walking on a Roblox Lua logo, so let's see what happens when you take it. Oh no, I'm falling down! Wah! And I'm dead. So that's the first showcase model. It's made by some guys whose name I cannot remember, but I will post it on the screen. It will say it on the screen at this point. I'm going to set it here, right where my head is, if I remember. That was just to remind me. Anyway, if you want your model to be featured in this, in the tutorials, you want it to be featured in the set and on my showcase place. And if it's really good, I might even use it for a game I'm making. If it's really, really good, then just message me or post in the comments with your model, and I may highlight it in these tutorials. Don't save changes. Let's go back to Roblox. Click there. Save changes to that, and now we're back in our tutorial place. Now in this tutorial, as I said in the last tutorial, we'll be going into events with arguments. Now what are these events with arguments? Now you remember in the last tutorial we used this. Now this isn't going to do an awful lot. We're going to walk into the brick, and then workspace is going to break joints and everything's going to fall apart. Now that's useful if you want a nuke workspace button or make everything fall over button, but it's not useful for a whole lot of other stuff. What you really want is for something that touched the brick, for example, the thing that touched the brick, to something to happen to the thing that touched the brick in certain cases. For example, if you want to boost someone's health, if someone walked into a brick, what would you do? You could do game.players.player.character. There's a character property in player, which is the player's character. .humanoid, which is the thing that holds all the health and all the humanoid related stuff inside the character. .health, which is a property inside the humanoid, equals a lot. Now you may be thinking that's good, that's working fine, but think if Picker10 walked into the brick, then it would run this and it would set player's health to whatever that number is. That is 10 million. It would set whatever's player health is to 10 million. But it won't set my health to 10 million because I'm not called player. I only set player's health to 10 million. Whenever anyone walks into it, it just keeps setting his health into 10 million. So all we need to do is we need to find a way of making it so that the person who touched the brick will get his health set to 10 million as well, rather than a guy called player, who is non-existent usually, being set to that much. Now what you may realise this one is that it's actually impossible at the moment. We can't unless we run a big check through workspace to see which person is close to the brick, which would be unnecessarily laggy and rubbish. We can use what this whole tutorial is about, which is event arguments. Now first of all, I'm going to show you, like I did in last video, the object browser. Event arguments. We're going to scroll down to part in here. That's pants. We're going to go to part, and then we're going to find the events that's at the bottom. I've not seen that event. That is a new event, stop touching, and there's going to have that. That is actually quite interesting. I haven't seen that. I'll post that somewhere. Event touching. Now in the brackets here is what the event argument is. Now this will not make any sense to you at the moment because I haven't actually explained what events arguments are, but if you can understand from what this bracket is, if you can understand what the specific one is, then it's great and you can go ahead and use it once I've explained how to use it. For example, I haven't all these on them. there's something, so descendants. So descendant removing, in this event descendant removing, the descendant that's been removed is the event argument. Descendant added, the descendants that's been added is the descendant, is the event argument, sorry. In child added, instance child, the child that has been added is the event argument, because it says here. And in touched, the other part, which is what it says here, is the event argument. What's the other part? The other part here is the part that touched the part you're using the event on. Now, how do you use event arguments? It's basically exactly the same as how you used function arguments. In fact, it is exactly the same, except you won't actually be giving the argument to anything. So do you remember with functions, if we just leave that as it is for now, we're going to go down a bit so you can't see that. Remember with functions, you go function hi something, spell it right, you don't have to spell it right, and then go print something add 1 end. And then if you recall back to one of my other tutorials, which is, I can't remember what tutorial it was, but I think it's probably 10 or 11. Hi 1, and then that would print, because it would running this function, and inside the brackets is 1, which means this is 1, which means it's going to print something which is 1 from here, because that's 1 here, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so it's going to print 2 there. Now, with event arguments, we can use exactly the same thing. So we're going to delete all of that, go back up to the top, not delete all of that stuff as well. We're going to go back into this function, and we're going to put something like, the most common name for this is hit. It does not have to be hit, remember, it does not have to be hit. It'd be called other part, or part that touched it, or RT ruffle, I can't spell today, ruffle the nub touched the part. Whoops, I cannot do anything today. Ruffle the nub touched the part. It can be absolutely anything you like as long as you use it throughout, like we did the event argument. So I'm going to stick with hit because that's the name I'm going to stick with. Now hit is the event argument. The event argument is what we said from the object browser, the other part. So now, this function, because we're using the touched event, this function, as we discussed in the last tutorial, this function here, or the functions here, so the event is going to connect to this function, and the function that's going to run when it's fired is going to be run with the arguments, and the arguments is what's inside the bracket. It's going to be run with the arguments of whatever the event argument are. And the event argument for touch is the other part, as we saw there. So this is going to go script.parent.touch. When this is fired, it's going to run this function, which is going to run for this function with the arguments of whatever this functions, or this event arguments are, which is the part that touched it. So basically, what this all comes down to is hit will be the part that touched it. So if we now do hit remove, if you can guess what that does, even you get nothing, because it's incredibly easy to work out what that adds us. It's things I basically told you. We're going to test it. Right, we're back after a long loading time again. It is getting quicker actually. It is getting quicker. Right, what do you think it's going to do? Remember the script as we look in here. Event. It's going to delete all these lines. Script dependent touch, connect, touched, hit. Now hit, remember, is the event argument of the events which it's fired with. The event argument of the events is whatever the event argument of touched is, and touched event argument is the part that touched the brick. And now this, so hit is the part that touched the brick, hit is the part that touched the brick, colon remove, which is called the remove event, and you can probably be able to work out what that does, and I've explained it to you many times before. What's it going to do? Whoa! My legs have disappeared. Oh no, what a surprise. Ah, my entire body is gone. What's going to happen now? Can I commit suicide? Ow, my torso does it, and so does my head. So now I've just got my 3 cats, which is pig, cat, cyborg, and some other thing. And he's got these new force fields. Weirdly. and of course you still get removed even with the new force fields in 1. Don't want to say changes to that. Right, so that's what that does. We're going to make that a bit more interesting. So now we've completely covered event arguments and what they do. We're just going to see. Actually, no, we're not. This is the end of this tutorial. Your challenge for the next tutorial: if you can make a script that makes whenever someone touches that part, instead of whatever part just touches it gets removed, the part that touches it gradually fades out using transparency and just continue setting that blur. The person who does that the best will be featured in the next tutorial and possibly get an extra prize of some kind, hint money. If you don't have a subscribe, you're just going to be featured in the next one anyway. That's all for now. I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.